Welcome, everyone, to another episode of They Might Be Self-Aware. I am Hunter Powers, joined by...
Daniel Bishop. Hello, Hunter.
Hey, Daniel.
It's October. You know what that means.
Spooky season.
Spooky season, and also a lot of Christmas stuff already on the shelves. But
That's true, too.
While we are in Spooktober, some companies are starting to come out with some nice little tricks and treats for us, including Rivian, the EV maker. They've got a Halloween update with some spooky surprises, including a Wilhelm scream, and you guys are going to hear me do a really, really good impression of it.
Well, here we're also discussing, maybe spooky, maybe not, but Uncle Elon has unveiled the RoboCab and how do you say RoboVan?
He called it the RoboVan.
RoboVan.
Yeah.
Are we closer to self-driving reality, or are we still just dreaming?
And at that same event where the RoboVan was shown off, we also saw some Optimus robots. Are they real AI or just fancy puppets on telestrings?
All I know is that full self-driving is coming next year. We've never heard that one before.
Regarding those robots, we do delve into a discussion about robots in bars. Is the future of bartending human or machine?
And then, I don't know, it's just, maybe this is the Elon episode, but also we're going to discuss the Mechazilla, which snagged a rocket out of space. Is it an engineering marvel or sci-fi come true?
Or both. And on that note, I think we might be feeling the buzz in the tech industry again. Is the 90s back, baby? Is the future now?
Or that buzz might be from something else, but it's all up next because you are listening to...
They might be self-aware.
So did you get the Halloween update? I've been seeing people writing about it on the various socials.
Yeah. So for those of you who may not know, I have a Rivian R1S, and I really, really do like it. Not a perfect vehicle, but I do like it quite a bit. It just had an update. Halloween update.
Very spooky.
Very spooky. For the Gen 2, I don't know if the Gen 1 has it, but I think certainly for the Gen 2 refresh of the Rivian R1s, there is like a kind of default screen where you see your vehicle and like just a background. There's a road, the sun kind of setting. There's
this
like
is on the screen
going.
That's in the center?
Yeah, right. And so it's just like, yeah, here's your car. Yeah. And oh, isn't that cute?
Wait, one quick question.
Yeah.
The Tesla's kind of famous for not having buttons. Does the Rivian adopt this similar, like you do everything through the display, or
pretty much everything through the display? Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sorry. Back to spooky.
Yeah, back to spooky. So it just updated and everything is changed into kind of Halloween colors. There's some jack-o'-lanterns on it now. You can see some bats flying in the background. I like the idea of cars being able to update via over-the-air type updates in general. I think if there's some sort of bug, it's nice to be able to fix it. That's great. But also, like, you got to have some fun with it, right? I like the idea of, hey, Halloween update. Now you can choose to make things a little spookier for a bit. And among those spooky things that you can do is change the accent lighting on the inside. And the one that I really liked is when you walk away from the car, it locks on its own, which is nice. You know, it's keyed to your phone, for example, and so it'll automatically lock. And there's a YouTube video that you can watch where, like, why did we choose? It's like this one specific tiny bit of a bird noise from the Pacific Northwest or what. And, you know, it's them really trying to show the attention to detail and care that they do for all these nature things, because they're trying to show themselves as sort of an outdoorsy brand. But for the rest of October, presumably at least until November 1st, I'm allowed to choose from a few different other sounds, including the Wilhelm scream, like the very famous from. That's a pretty good approximation of it, right? It plays when you're a car locks. So either from you just like walking away from it or manually like selecting.
I thought it was maybe like at random times while you're driving to try to. Jesus.
Right. Did I just hit a guy? No, this is it's replacing the car lock sound with that. And it's funny that it does that because just a few days ago, I was thinking about like there are a lot of things that are configurable on the vehicle, but not the sounds. And that seems like such an easy thing to make configurable, right? Cut to a couple of days later. Oh, now I have like 5 different things that I can choose for at least a while. Now I have to figure out how can I disable that going away because I really like. I've only had it for like one drive so far, but
in a few weeks.
I walked away from it and I heard it go, and I thought I want that forever. I love that.
Now, Tesla's had that type of configuration for a while, right? You can customize a lot of the sounds in the Tesla.
I don't remember being able to customize the sounds.
I feel like I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube of people turning the horn into a fart.
Oh, okay. Yes, there is the fart. I think that's the one sort of noise that you're able to do. And there's also a mode where like as you sit into your seat, it'll recognize, it's the same thing that turns off the nobody in this so the airbags won't deploy light to fart noises.
Well,
I've always wanted for the electric vehicles that, especially at low speed, make a noise for, the sight impaired, for example, to make sure that they're not going to just wander out in front of you in a parking lot or whatever. The cars are supposed to make noise. I think it was after 2021 or thereabouts that all of the new ones have to make some kind of noise. This weird like speeds. Electric
hum that they make that kind of sounds like a spaceship. That's what I feel like I hear the most.
Exactly. And I want that to be configurable. What I really want is like a TIE fighter from Star Wars or like the pod racers that boom, 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 like that kind of noise. That would be amazing to have. Well,
talking about amazing things to have. Did you watch the Elon event? I mean, I know you watched it because I texted you as it hadn't started like an hour after it was supposed to start. It was late on the East Coast.
If there's one thing Elon's known for, it is not delivering things on time.
Well, rumor is there was a medical emergency or something in the crowd. They were tending to it.
Sure.
Couldn't find any pictures of it, but I'm willing to accept that that's what happened. Anyways, it started. And
it did eventually start. That's right.
We can confirm that. Breaking news. The Elon event did start, and he
showed off the RoboCab and the
the RoboCab
is how the RoboVan is how it's written. He calls it the RoboVan, which my eyes rolled so hard they almost detached.
I saw what was it? I believe it was the art director for iRobot tweeted out. Or again, whatever you're supposed to call it, zeeting out or something. But it's like, please stop stealing all my ideas. And he showed like the production art and like the cars in iRobot and his new car and the vans in iRobot. And then, of course, the robots and Mr. Optimus.
Yeah. So at the event, there were some Optimus robots walking around with, employees nearby to make sure that they didn't start killing all humans or fall over or something perhaps in between. Which I think it's a technical marvel. If you really think back to just a few-ish years ago, having a untethered bipedal robot able to walk around at all, forget any of the stuff that it could do. Just a robot walking around is astonishing. I do not think that they should be faulted for having that kind of thing made available. Yeah, that Elon was very cool. Even if they're not the first to the game, Honda had some robots that were making little bitty steps some years ago. Of course, our friends at Boston Dynamics have some. I almost got to work with
the Honda robot, by the way. Very close.
You what?
I almost got to work with the Honda robot.
Oh my God, that would have been amazing.
I was supposed to, and then it was WeWork's fault that I didn't.
Not the first thing and not the last thing. That would be their fault.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we save that story for another day. But Uncle Elon rolled out
Papa Palpatine.
Yeah. So the autonomous car, full self-driving, no steering wheel. That's the level 5. We talked about the levels a few episodes.
Right. So we were talking about this right before the event, and we talked some about. I was reading right off of the site that the NHTSA or whatever has of like what makes something level 4 versus level 5, and level 5 is ain't got no steering wheel. And you just get in it and go.
Is that a level 5 requirement? The
gull-wing doors?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
That's how you know it's futuristic.
And they were on the back lot at, was it at Universal or Warner's? Warner's, are they the same company now? I felt like I was seeing the sets of Back to the Future, which is at Universal Studios. But anyways, they were on a movie backlot doing these demos of driving the cars around.
Yep.
Reminiscent of a Model 3, but different. And like the mix of a Model 3 and a Cybertruck. That's what they kind of look like to me.
Yeah, right. There were some like sort of harder edges to it. It definitely has a bit of a futuristic look to it. And the van, I think, is very futuristic looking. The most futuristic looking thing about it is that the design aspect envisions a future where there are no changes in grade whatsoever.
I was going to say the 2 inches of clearance
ever. That thing is so low to the ground. Incredibly impractical for, like, I'd say almost any real world use at that point.
Yeah, it would have to
unless it has some massive sort of changeability on the height of the ride there. So it looks cool. I'll say that it looks cool because it did. I just also think it looked horrifically impractical.
The self-driving car, which he sort of said would start with a software update coming next year to the current Model 3s.
Right.
And probably other vehicles.
Some existing cars are going to be able to be made completely self-driving.
In California and Texas.
Yeah.
Because potentially those are the only 2 states that have a legal framework for making that happen. But the software is not ready today to do this. This is we're working on it. We feel like we're getting close to it, but we're not there today. There was no statement that we're just waiting for regulatory approval. I mean, I think the read on that is he just thinks that it's close. They're close. They're close from a software perspective, not necessarily from a legal approval perspective.
Right.
Which, and I think it was a few episodes ago too, there was a recent study that at present, on average, when people are using the current implementation, they are making corrections themselves or interrupting the self-driving roughly 12 times an hour.
Now, that's on average. I've already talked about this, and I will continue to be bearish, I guess, on its capabilities. That number of times per hour, I think, is made much less because it performs pretty well on highways. And so you're getting more miles without interventions. And where you would really want to need the true full self-driving capabilities, which is to say surface streets, would be way more. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Probably most people are probably far more likely to engage with it on the highway because they're probably scared. It makes sense that the average person would be scared of engaging it in a dense city area, and then far more miles, obviously, on the highway. So the number of interrupts in a urban setting could be wildly greater than 12. I mean, that was my experience. Granted, maybe there is a new version that I hadn't been exposed to that's miles and miles better, but I continue to have my reservations, and I'll believe it when I see it.
The year's almost over. And he said next year, and he's hit every deadline before. And he's never before claimed that full self-driving was coming in any kind of what.
I feel like everything you just said was completely wrong. Multiple times he said that it's coming right around the corner and that it's going to be full self-driving. And pretty much every deadline he's ever given doesn't get hit.
He's an optimist, just like
there
his
are
robots.
amazing vehicles that can do some pretty amazing things, and much of these capabilities have eventually showed up, if not necessarily the full self-driving. Some credit where it's due.
Yeah. So I saw one person online's take, which I sort of resonated with a little bit in that. So this is probably not going to happen in the next year. Almost guaranteed. I think one episode you like there's 0% chance. But if any company is going to do it, it's probably going to be Tesla. Like if a company is going to reach full, consumer can purchase a full self-driving car in the next year. If there's one company that's going to do it, it's Tesla. And I don't know. I do agree with that statement.
Well, Waymo has RoboCabs that are full self-driving.
This is true.
In a couple of markets, in certain kinds of situations. They and others that have made a lot of progress seem to be full in on LiDAR. And Tesla, very famously, is very not in favor of LiDAR. I personally don't have any particular horse in any particular race as to like which of those two techs or some mysterious third option would be the one to finally get us there. But
Waymo also famously has humans behind the scenes doing things, and that's something that Elon and Tesla would never do, is have a human behind one of their pieces of technology, making it seem as though things were fully automated.
For the full self-driving vehicle demo, it was definitely just the cars, and no person would have had anything to do with it.
Well, and those robots
and
too.
the robots
they're
as
just
well,
having
like those
incredible conversations.
Conversations. They were pouring drinks and playing games.
Large language models. So yeah, I saw it playing Rochambeau.
Which is
charades.
It was real and wasn't being just done by people piloting them remotely, right?
Of course not.
Unless it definitely was just people piloting them remotely.
It was very clearly.
Really
if you were
clearly
watching the live feed.
Yeah.
They weren't even good actors. Like they could have hired. I feel like they could have hired much better people. Like they didn't. And I don't know.
It was just a lightly changed, like a voice modulation on some tech bro who was clearly just operating.
They didn't sound like tech bros.
Yeah.
They sounded very just sort of random individual that like may not even be super aware of Tesla. Like,
just some guy that they put a mocap suit on and said, "Okay, what you do, the robot's
I felt
gonna
they
do."
had like an open casting call and hired a few people. That's what it felt like. Maybe it wasn't that, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I do think that still the technology is pretty impressive to have a robot that can be mimicking the movements of a person somewhere else. From like a telepresence perspective, we've seen in the medical field, you know, being able to do surgeries remotely, to have, even though I think it is worth poking some fun at Tesla for this thing that was obviously not really autonomous robots doing that, there are some incredible opportunities for those who do not have the ability to stand or walk, for example. I've heard of a couple of instances of like robots in a cafe in Japan being used by someone who like can't get around. I do think that there is something to say about for, you know, exploration or rescue efforts in a dangerous sort of situation, or where you wouldn't want to put people, to have someone, you know, put on maybe it's a Tesla headset or, you know, something at that point, and remotely control a bipedal or otherwise robot. Like
the story.
To have that would be really useful, but we were kind of sold on a future of these robots they're just full on AI robots. It wasn't.
We discussed the story, I believe, on a previous episode that Tesla has been hiring people to remotely operate their Optimus robots in a factory setting.
Right. Basically so to teach it how to,
and apparently also how to serve drinks and play Rochambeau.
Would you, if there was, no, you know what? Here's two questions for you.
Okay.
Would you want to go to a bar where there's a robot bartender that is being piloted by a person, but like it's the metal frame of the thing that's doing the pouring of the drinks, even if a person somewhere else is wearing the haptic gloves and working in cyberspace to do it? Would you want to get drinks like that? And we'll say, to make it slightly easier on the ethical side of things, it's someone who otherwise would be unable to get there. Like it's someone who's a quadriplegic, for example, couldn't be doing that. Now they can be a bartender if they want.
I think I could very quickly get used to that and not, feel that it. I was just sort of thinking through the bartender experience. There's the like
it can
preparation.
Still have like a mustache, a sleeve tattoo if it's one of those hipstery kind of places with 30 different sorts of bitters.
Right. I was thinking about the social component. There's the making of the beverages, but bartenders are often social people that are trying to have little conversations, and but that could happen with the robot, as we saw in the demo at Elon's event where they were chucking it up. So I think I could very very quickly get to the point where I'm not thinking about it and I'm like, oh yeah, it's one of the Optimus bots that's being remotely piloted by someone else, and it'd just be like, oh, whatever. They put the cowboy hat on it. Did you see the outfits, by the way, that they dress these? Yeah. Yep.
Right as they were cutting to that, there was also like definitely a go-go dancer booth sort of thing with some of the robots that were like, that was just, I think, a pre-programmed dance routine that they were going through. But I saw that and the robot go-go dancer thing really threw me for a loop. So the follow-up question is, would you go to a bar that has actual AI powered. It's got an LLM to make small talk with you, for example, but like there's no person involved. It is a robot bartender.
So there's the novelty factor, which I definitely let me go.
Sure, novelty. You do it once.
Could it become your local
time,
haunt?
third time? Are you going to be a local at the RoboPub?
It would say more about me than the pub. I don't know. I don't know is the answer. There's stuff. I mean, there's a heavy social element, and the question is, how much is that gone? And also, this robot that inevitably is being trained. I'm being trained on all of its experiences with me, so I'm hyper aware.
And it's probably learning from you too.
Correct.
So it's going to learn how to serve. It's recording me.
It's sending all that video back.
Right. It's going to serve robot patrons at some point too, because you're going to be outsourced at that point. You don't have to do the drinking anymore.
Everyone knows that all conversations in a bar setting are the exact conversations that you would like to be recorded forever. And you just wish there was a written record and video record of every activity that ever transpired. Maybe. How about you?
I think it's a person who otherwise couldn't work in that sort of setting. I think that's a way easier sell. Once would I go to it's a full-on AI robot serving you drinks, but like I think there are certain industries where you have to have people in them. For example, another one, I would not want to buy a car from a robot. Like when people think of car salesmen, I don't mean like Sleazy Dan and he's got the cowboy hat. Let's go make you a deal. Like that kind of guy outside of the small used car lots. It's kind of a dying breed. I mean, like you go to the big shiny place and they've got a zillion cars out front and a whole bunch of lease pull ahead deals. And here's the Toyota-thon event, whatever, like the nicer places where they're wearing suits and they're much more professional. Something about making big purchases, a house being another good example. I don't want to do that without there being like a human element of the. But
isn't that how you kind of purchase a Tesla today? You've purchased Teslas. I never have.
I purchased a Tesla.
My understanding was like you kind of go on the app
and it was a click on a website.
Yeah.
And I guess that was better.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to talk, if I have to talk to someone at a dealership, I think I'd rather that be a meat person.
I agree there. The technology has to get wildly better. But yeah, I don't want to enter into a negotiation with the robot, with the large language model,
because the robot you're just dealing with some sort of algorithm, and you feel like maybe you could get a slightly better deal out of a person. I don't think we'll ever get rid of that feeling.
Write some Python code for me, as we've seen done online.
Right. Yeah, I'm now trying to imagine like a robot. What would you call it? Like a salesperson? What do you call a person who helps you buy a house?
Real estate agent?
Real estate agent. Wow. Yes. So imagine a robot real estate agent that's like listing off facts about this one has 275 square feet for this room. Okay. Yes. Thank you, robot sales agent, real estate agent. I don't think I want that. I feel like there's something about really big purchases. Maybe it's just you want to be reassured, but having like a person there to help kind of walk you through the process can be beneficial. I will tell you, though, that for like certain kinds of jobs, I do want, if not the bipedal robot doing it, maybe just talking to an LLM. Like imagine calling up a doctor's office or a car dealership or your internet provider or something. And like just most of those calls don't have to be answered by a person. Now, they've been trying for years and years for all these kinds of industries to have automated systems or the phone trees that you can go through to actually solve your problem. And they've not been super great, I think.
Yeah. You saw that OpenAI now supports voice agents. Did you see that?
I saw that.
Yeah.
So I think
we're getting expensive, but pretty impressive.
Yeah. Now I think we're getting to a point where many people's interactions with businesses are about to get better. I think it's going to be janky for a while before it gets better. But I do think that like anytime that you call up, your vet, because you want to make an appointment to have Fluffy looked at, you don't have to take a person's time to do that. A robot could absolutely look up the appointments. Oh, here's the next available one. Well, how about Wednesdays? Oh, here's the next available Wednesday. Like that kind of thing is AI making people's lives more convenient and freeing up people to do the things that they're good at, to actually assist customers who are there and need face-to-face type interactions. So I do think that there is a line to be towed of what is worth automating and what is worth keeping human. Bartenders, maybe we keep it human, or at least a human piloting a robot. I kind of liked that fake thing. Even I didn't like the fact that it was being shown as if it were real, but I do like the fact that something like that can exist. So I feel pretty positive about that kind of development once it all sort of settles down.
I don't think Tesla has still yet officially commented that it was not real. They haven't come out and said.
Why would they? Let the people who think it was real believe, and let everyone else roll their eyes and say, yeah, of course it wasn't.
The market did not react kindly to the event. Tesla stock did go down a decent amount right after. It's come back up a little bit, but I did just check, and it's still down when we're having some really good times in the market. They are not doing so well. Yeah,
letting
people
the
seem
good times roll.
Mostly negative on the event. I was overall positive. Just I don't know. Like we do need people out there that are like pushing the boundaries. Though if you want to like crack on that one, the SpaceX though, the Mechazilla catching that rocket, that's pretty impressive, right?
As much as people, I think very rightfully, have some not necessarily super kind things to say about Elon Musk. As I understand it, he is also very deeply involved, even just on the engineering side at SpaceX. Of course, there's a zillion other extremely talented people who are helping make this work, and you would probably say arguably have more to do with it. But still, this person with his vision, probably without it, we wouldn't have SpaceX as we see it.
Yeah.
And to see basically a Saturn V, which we've not had that kind of capability for a very long time, take off and then land and get caught and ostensibly be able to be at least partially reused.
Yeah.
Holy moly. And this was their first time trying to catch it, and they nailed it. From an engineering perspective, this is incredible. The word incredible does not do it justice.
Agreed.
To have seen that, I definitely watched that not quite live. I watched it like right after.
Oh, I don't watch live. I've watched it multiple times though.
Oh my God. And then also the Starship did exactly what it was supposed to as well. It was a totally nominal sort of test, which I mean, like, are we going to start seeing them fueling each other in space next? And are they going to start sending stuff to the moon in a year? Like, if this continues to go at the rate of improvement that they have been doing, I don't see, for a variety of reasons, the colony on Mars in some years. And we've talked some episodes now back about a book, A City on Mars. I still think everyone should read that. It's a very good read. I don't think we're going to see a colony on Mars or the moon, frankly, within our lifetimes, let alone possibly ever. But I do think we're going to be able to put people there, if things keep up at this rate, really soon. Make that reusable, take gigantic payloads to space and make that, I'm not going to say affordable to the average person, but like on the governmental scale, oodles more affordable than it has been. I love space. I love the idea of being able to explore space more and to have something that way drags down the cost of kilogram to space, reusability, speed of getting things up there. Tremendously exciting to me.
In our last episode, we were discussing our origin stories. If you didn't catch that and you want to go back and check out who exactly we are and where we came from, please do. But we sort of came of age from a technology perspective in the 90s. And I remember in the 90s having this sort of feeling that seeing the potential of all the technology, being super excited about it, and feeling like everyone else doesn't like quite yet realize what we have, what we are capable of. And it's fairly a recent feeling, but that's hit me this year that I finally feel like, and I loved that period of time, but I feel like it's coming back. Like I feel like I'm back in the 90s a little bit, where the potential is incredible right now. And I feel like the average person has no idea what is possible today and what's going to be possible tomorrow.
There is an excitement for sure surrounding like
similar vibes.
Would you call it optimism or just excitement?
I don't know. Optimism is a challenging word in the AI field, as there's so much the doom and gloom stuff. But yeah, I have a lot of optimism about where we're going. But it's the raw potential. The that we are experiencing right now, of what the reality that we could be living in tomorrow, the reality that we are living today is pretty darn cool. The reality of what we could be living in tomorrow is like beyond imagination, and that the average person on the street, we go out and interview Johnny on the street, I don't think they have any idea of where we are right at this moment, and they certainly have no idea of where we could be in like 1 or 2 years from now.
Well, I guess those people need to be listening to podcasts like they might be self-aware to learn more about the latest and greatest in technology and advancements in various fields. We've got one of them covered. I'm sure there's other ones out there for other things. We were talking a lot about podcasts last episode. There's one for everything. Like and subscribe. I think that's the takeaway from this episode of They Might Be Self-Aware. You can find us on pretty much, every major platform. You want to see the video, check out YouTube. You like audio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, those are the big ones, but we're in pretty much every podcast directory. Open up your client, search for They Might Be Self-Aware. You will find us mostly twice a week, occasionally once a week. And it's been good chatting with everyone, and we will be back next week with even more.
They might be self-aware.